All right, so this is part two of our video notes. I apologize, my last video ended very abruptly. Midway into the exam, Noriana wanted to punch Mr. Marsh in the neck. Once again, this is a nominal infinitive because remember, it's serving as a noun. It's up on a tree. Loriana wanted what to punch, and that's why it turns into a nominal infinitive. So these are the 15 terms we want to make sure that we can identify in the matching section. I'll definitely give you a word bank, but for you to have somewhere on your yellow notes some understanding of what these 15 things are, or maybe even some tips to figure out what it is and what it isn't, would also be helpful. For example, knowing the difference between a participle and a gerund. They both end in ing, but knowing which one is which is really critical. Knowing what's the polyset and what's the accident, or even knowing how to tell the difference between a noun clause or an adverb clause or an adjective clause or an elliptical clause could be helpful. And once again, with the expletive, it's not just simply to be, it could also be as, it could also be the word that. So any kind of notes like that would be very helpful for the matching portion. So let's talk about how about them sentence diagrams. So the very beginning of the exam opens up with 8 diagrams. You can obviously go in any order that you want to. My furnace just turned off, which is great, so it's not making that hum in the background. Things that you can do, maybe review old quizzes as some examples, just to kind of go back through old quiz sentences and just kind of make sure you're solid with what we had diagrammed on those quizzes. Make sure your yellow notes are clear and they're organized. Oftentimes, yellow notes have so much on there that you can't find things. So sometimes revising your yellow notes is a really smart choice as well, just so that everything's very clear, you know where to find it. So what I want to do is I want to make a checklist for you. And maybe that might be something you put on your yellow notes, is to be saying, okay, do I know where these particular things are? So from unit 1, make sure you understand how to do a pattern 9 and a pattern 10. Those are just a little bit more quirky that a lot of times coming into class we didn't know about. Think about how we use prep phrases sometimes as idiomatic expressions. And that's when the prep phrase goes up on a tree. From unit 3, I want to focus on noun clauses, and I want to focus on the gerund phrase from unit 3. In unit 4, I want to focus on the adverbial infinitive, but also the adverb clause. And in unit 5, I want to focus on the participial phrase and the adjective clause. Now, you'll notice there's going to be 8 diagrams, and there are basically 8 things that I've listed here. So that's pretty straightforward. The diagrams aren't overly challenging or long. It's just the fact that I'm focusing on a particular skill. So if you think about like these 8 things I've just listed here, that's how I want you to approach your diagram section. So be looking for these 8 particular qualities in a sentence. So sometimes you're looking at it saying, well, there's unit 1, 3, 4, and 5. What happened to number 2? Well, unit 2 and particularly unit 6, I'm going to ask you some questions on the last page of the exam. So once again, this is what the diagram section would look like for us. So maybe review those 8 particular concepts. Make sure you know it. I'm going to stop my video because I think my daughter's up and it's only like 5 a.m.